Anti-firearms boycotts are coming to Canada, inspiring left-wing busybodies to boycott water bottles and ski helmets of all things. And it looks like the SJWs at Mountain Equipment Co-op are ready to jump on the bandwagon. A Change.org petition has just been launched asking Canadian company Mountain Equipment Co-op to stop the sale of all Vista Outdoor brands. Now, Vista Outdoor Brands owns a number of companies, including Camelback, which makes water bottles, Gyro, Bushnell, which makes optics, Bolay, which makes helmets and goggles, Camp Chef, and Jimmy Sticks. But Vista also owns Savage Arms, which makes, among other things, semi-automatic firearms. The petition reads, "Given the recent massacre of high school students in Parkland, Florida, MEC is facing an urgent ethical obligation to act in accordance with its mission and values and immediately stop selling brands owned by Vista Outdoors, a company whose profits are derived from the production of assault weapons capable of mass murder." Ah yes, assault weapon. It basically means whatever you want it to mean. In this instance, assault weapon means run-of-the-mill bolt-action rifle owned by millions of people legally. And it looks like Mountain Equipment Co-op is getting ready to fold like a cheap suit. According to the Financial Post, MEC said earlier Monday that its senior management would be meeting to discuss calls for it to stop selling Vista Outdoor Incorporated owned brands, including Camelback and Bolay. MEC, on the other hand, doesn't really cater to hunters and sports shooters. They don't really sell anything like scent blocker clothing technology that hunters would use out in the bush, but us hunters are pretty outdoorsy and we have an expensive hobby, and MEC does carry things that we would probably buy. But it's pretty clear they'd rather chase away our business to gain, well, absolutely no new customers. Bold strategy, MEC. Let's see if it works out. Let's take a minute to examine exactly what Mountain Equipment Co-op is willing to chase away from their stores. Let me start close to home, the way I always do. Albertans are seeing a renaissance in the hunting and shooting sports. According to Government of Alberta numbers, just over 127,000 hunting licenses were bought by Albertans in 2016, up 16,000 from 2012. And those hunters in Alberta, just by buying hunting licenses, outdoor ID cards, and draw applications, added $18 million to government coffers alone. And all those brand new and returning hunters, well, they need someplace to go buy their outdoor equipment. And they have been. The Retail Council of Canada said they're delighted to see such strong growth in hunting participation in Alberta because it's good news for outdoor stores, except, of course, if you're an SJW outdoor store that can't even sell you a water bottle because the bottle's parent company manufactures perfectly legal firearms. But I digress. Let's go out a little bit further. Gun ownership is on the rise here in Canada. The last year there is available data for non-restricted guns in Canada is 2011. That's the last year of available non-restricted data because the Conservative government, thank God in heaven, stuck a knife in the heart of the gun registry vampire, but that data did reveal that there were 7.1 million non-restricted guns in Canada, up nearly 10% since the Conservatives came into power. Even more heartwarming, the worrywarts at the Coalition for Gun Control say by 2020, we will have double the number of restricted guns from 2009. Restricted meaning, of course, handguns and rifles the RCMP doesn't like the color of. The Coalition for Gun Control claims there was an 82% increase in restricted gun ownership while Stephen Harper was in power. I suspect the rate of non-restricted ownership is seeing the same sort of increase, but at the same time, I'm also very happy that the government doesn't know anything about it. Anyway, what's my point? That there are a lot of people with a lot of guns doing a lot of legal things with those guns in the outdoors here in Canada. And we spend a lot of money doing it. Although these numbers aren't as closely tracked in Canada as they are in the United States, in 2012, nearly $1 billion were spent directly in the pursuit of hunting in Canada. You chase hunters and sports shooters out of your outdoor store at your own financial peril. But this isn't the first time that MEC passively told us They don't want our dirty money in their stores anyway, and I think it's about time we should get better at listening to them when they say it. MEC has close ties with Eco-Justice. Mountain Equipment Co-op CEO David Libestor has pushed conspiracy theories about conservative legislation in the past. Remember the changes to the Navigable Waterways Protection Act in 2012? Environmentalists at the time were shrieking about how it removed environmental protections from Canadian waterways, which is absolute and total bunk. It's like people don't understand the difference between the word navigable and environmental. Anyway, MEC's CEO is quoted in an Eco-Justice press release saying he believes the proposed amendments to the Navigable Waterways Protection Act would significantly erode outdoor recreation in this country and the opportunities it provides for adventure and inspiration. Anyway, the changes were made to the law and everybody is still out there kayaking just like they did before, but now you don't have to jump through 1,000 hoops to get permission to build a boat dock now. So there's that. Anyway, here's Eco-Justice again, this time fighting against now dead Northern Gateway Pipeline, calling it unsafe, unsustainable, and unnecessary. On the very same page, Eco-Justice thanks Mountain Equipment Co-op for its generous support of their work to block Canadian infrastructure and fight against the best interests of Albertans and all Canadians. Mountain Equipment Co-op has been anti-normal people for a very long time. We just haven't been all that great at paying attention to them. In the face of a small amount of fringe outcry, Mountain Equipment Co-op is running scared. But it's not like they needed all that much help bending to every SJW cause in the book because, well, they do that anyway, which is fine by me because I suspect this will all work out the very same way it is for Delta Airlines after they caved to anti-NRA activists in the United States by ending their NRA discount. Mountain Equipment Co-op is only going to alienate reliable customers to please people who would probably shop with them either way, Camelback in the store or not. And as for people like me, I'm a hunter with a pretty costly pastime. The good news is I can stroll right into a handful of other stores, frankly, more affordable stores that want my business and don't presume I'm in support of school shootings because I have a date with a deer and a tree stand every November. For the Rebel.media, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid. Speaking of anti-NRA wackadoodles, have you signed our petition calling on Florida Governor Rick Scott to fire Broward County Sheriff Scott Israel for the failure of his department to save the lives of students at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School? Our petition is being censored by Twitter, but you can still find it at firescottisrael.com.